I am on my way to the Spring 2025 Power Monkey Training Camp. I have no idea what to expect this week, except I know this. There's going to be expert coaches, tons of athletes, and a week of training and fun. And that sounds pretty good to me. So we're on the road. I've got everything packed in my Tesla, got a 4-hour drive ahead of me, and then we have a jam-packed week. All right, we just got through the introduction, and it's all good. Tonight, I get to be the demo for doing a VO2 max. So, not sure what it takes to do your VO2 max, but I'm gonna find out tonight. And I think it hurts. I think there's a little bit of effort, but we'll be ready. When I push my limits, hydration is key. That's why I trust Element to replenish the electrolytes my body needs. It's got everything. 1,000 milligrams of sodium, 200 milligrams of potassium, and 60 milligrams of magnesium, without any of the junk. No fillers, just hydration and recovery. Electrolytes are essential. Whether you're grinding through a workout, recovering from a tough session, or staying active throughout the day, Element has been a total game changer for me, and I know it'll keep you at your best too. Right now, Element is offering a free sample pack with any order. That's 8 single serving packs free. Just head to drinkelement.com/Jason Grubb. That's DRINKLMNT.com/Jason Grubb to get yours. This deal is only available through my link. Okay, VO2 max experts out there tested it, and it's really not bad until the last minute or two. Then it gets pretty gnarly. Actually, it's not fun at the end. But yeah, my VO2 max is 50.1, and I'm partially recording this so I remember. Now I have to do all the research to find out what 50.1 means, but we'll see. I think it means that I'm pretty fit. That's what my tester said. He said that means pretty fit, and I will do all the research and find out more about that. But I think the test will be valuable. I think I'll be able to make sure that my zones are accurate, like zone 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and I can program that into my Apple Watch to make sure I'm in those zones correctly. Yeah, it's good. I can't believe it's been 10 years of me doing this, and I haven't done it yet, but great process, worth doing. We just finished the gymnastics piece, and one of the things that I always find with people trying to find their muscle up, right?
Yes.
The bar muscle up, is they'll jump up and they'll be right under the bar and they'll try to do this big kip and this big pull up right here, and it's just not happening, right? And I'm thinking about this even with my 11-year-old at home. He's so close, he's so strong. But then I forgot about the cue, or one of the things that you have athletes do is, jump from behind the bar to extend well in front.
Yes.
Talk about that, because I have a hard time articulating what that means and how that helps with a bar muscle up. But you taught it so well, and I thought your version is better than mine.
Thank you. So basically what you're looking at here is if you start directly under the bar, you have whatever hollow and arch extra power you can put into it, which is useful and helpful, and maybe helpful enough for some people. If you jump from behind the bar and jump into it, you now have swinging energy as well. So if you use those hollows and arches with the swinging energy, you now have another component of energy putting into the equation, and then that redirects up even easier for most people.
And that when we're doing like a kipping pull-up,
Yes.
the hollow arch is directly below the bar.
Yes.
When you have your feet out, and you're patiently allowing your feet to come out in front when you do that behind jump, feet come out in front, that hollow, or that arch snap to hollow is out in front instead of underneath the bar, way out in front.
Yes.
That creates some physics.
Correct.
A centrifugal force.
Yes,
Yep.
and how it helps swing around. And like, say you're on rings, you get to go up and down straight through the rings if you want to. And the bar itself, you would just stay under it and be stopped by it. So also swinging forward allows you to come up and around. It redirects around the bar as well as putting more energy into it.
And look out, when you try this for the first time, you're gonna feel that. You're gonna feel that energy as you are coming around the bar. Like, don't let go.
Yeah.
You might end up on the back wall.
Hold on tight.
Thank you.
You got it, man.
Session 1 was all gymnastics. Pulling, pull-ups, toes to bar muscle-ups. Super fun. headed in for session 2, where we're going to be doing jerks. Two things I'm taking away from this that I really, really enjoy. I mean, there's a lot that we learned in this one session on jerking. So we could go through the whole seminar and talk about how all that was great. But two things that got me. One, potentially I could spend half the time training the jerk off my back, spend half the time on my back, half the time in the front rack. That could be a thing. Also, walking away with having a full grip on the bar for cleans, jerks, snatches, squats, front squats, back squats, everything. And I wanted to ask you, so why full grip?
Why full grip? So I'll simplify it. One, we'll look at a comparison. Why do you use a full grip when you do a pull-up? You want max muscle activation. So if somebody can have a full grip in the front rack, I have more back muscles. If I relax the grip, I have to try to compensate somewhere. So it's a little bit more passive, and I want to be active in these moments.
For those that don't have, I mean, this is like, you asked any of us if we had front rack mobility issues. None of us raised our hands. And then you said, how about with a full grip on the bar? And we're like, no, that's tough.
Yeah.
So full grip on the bar, does that help with front rack mobility?
So this is, without being able to, let's say, take everybody through the full journey. For close to 20 years, I've seen people try to improve their front rack with every mobility drill under the sun, except for front squatting with a full grip. So sometimes the best mobility is to work the mobility in the movement. You just oftentimes have to go a little bit lighter and be a little bit uncomfortable. Yeah. So like if I have tight hamstrings, I stretch my hamstrings. I usually add weight. I do Jefferson curls, right. But it's progressive. Same thing. Front squat is a preparation for the clean. So if I want to improve my clean, make my front squat perfect, and it might have to start a little bit lighter.
I love it. Love it. All right. That's what I have to do now. This is what I've got to do. Like now I know the truth. I can't like ignore it now. I'm here having some fun and games, but still got to train. So I'm going to get in what I can get in. It's not all of it, but at least some of it. All right, so I thought I knew how to row, and I could row, but I learned some things. So you watched my row before.
Yes.
And my row after.
I try to not to, but I hear things and then you just can't.
The whole day it's been like this in this session. The whole day. It's just been, first I put my foot on the rower, and so we started off on a bad foot, literally.
I don't know if it's a bad foot.
It was a
wrong placed foot.
Wrong placed foot. So what do I need to remember?
The swinging the child on the swing specifically for you.
Yeah.
Being more relaxed, no pausing.
Yes.
Throughout the stroke, and get your hands past your knees.
And get my hands past my knees.
Before sliding forward.
That's what we're going to do. That's what we're going to do. Thank you. I appreciate it. It's officially day 2. I learned so much yesterday. I know some things about this sport and movement, but I learned a lot yesterday, and I'm actually pretty excited to see what I learned today. And I'm learning things that I can apply to myself to make myself a better athlete, and also ways to become an even better coach by learning from Olympians and just some true masters at their specific discipline. They're so good. They're so focused on one thing that anything I can pick up off of them just makes me better as an athlete, better as a coach. So day 2, here we go. handstand session with Dave. I'm trying to figure out what question to ask you.
Okay.
Because every question I could ask is so loaded, right, that you could do an entire session on every one.
Sounds good.
Breathing in a handstand or in handstand walking, right? You mentioned this multiple times, like you can do a handstand as long as you can hold your breath for a lot of us.
Most people do that,
Most
yeah.
people do that. So a couple of tips and tricks, and of course everyone can just find you and learn in-depth work, but tips and tricks for learning how to breathe inverted.
Yeah, so it's a critical component to be able to actually hold longer handstands, right, and feel comfortable there. I would say an easy one is you're trying to mimic the same breathing pattern that you do upright. All right, so how can I do that? When I'm inverted, a lot of the things, I'm just trying not to die, let alone what's my breathing pattern look like. But an easy way to implement is like what we just did here in our station. Kick up to handstand and count your seconds verbally out loud. Right? It'll force you to think about your breath without having to be overly conscious about it. So you're kicking up 10 to 15 second, 20 second holds.
Count out
hear
loud.
yourself, count out loud, and that'll actually get your breathing pattern to be a little bit more in place.
Nice. Thank
Cool?
you.
You
Appreciate
got it, buddy.
All right, guys, we're here with Chad Vaughn. For me, 3 things that I take away from this. My squat is wide. I'm going to work on narrowing that squat, getting that a little more healthy, a little more stable.
Yeah, there you go.
Hands were a little wide on the clean, and now that, we're a little narrow on the clean. And I'm going to adjust that wider, and I'm going to create tension in the bar before lifting on a clean. But the wider hands, so this is super common for a lot of us to have narrow hands.
Yes.
I wanted you to share why that matters. It's really cool.
It really matters a lot. And again, the percentage that I think of athletes that I change to a wider grip, and sometimes it's a small change, and more often than not, it's inches of a change on each side. But the critical part of that is, where you're holding the bar, at the width you're holding the bar, dictates where the bar is going to sit on you just when you're holding it in a standing position, which sets you up to where you're going to contact when you're doing a regular clean or a clean from the knee or a clean from the floor. If your hands are too narrow, you're either going to hit low, which is not as effective of a contact point. You're not going to hit it all just because you don't know to contact. But to set you up to learn contact and to contact at the best spot, we want to widen the hands to the point where you're resting somewhere really high on the quad, kind of just under our.
It's okay. It's okay.
Just under our genitals there, and you want to feel. Be okay with feeling it brush through that spot, because that's high on the quad and where you're going to transfer the most power.
It's good. And I felt an immediate difference. And like, I hate, I've been doing this like 10 years, but only really good for a few years. And rebuilding some things is so much fun. Like, wow, this is going to change some things. It's going to mess some things up for a little bit, but it's okay. I'll just keep practicing.
Yeah. No, and that's a great point, because just because you've been doing this for years, I know things that I've figured out that maybe I was doing not as well as I could, whether that be weightlifting or the CrossFit that I've done through the years. It's like a little bit frustrating to think I could have been doing them different all this time, but you can't look at it that way. You still get benefit from all the work that you did before. Just make those adjustments now, and there's a chance for you to improve even more.
Yeah, we can keep getting better, 100%. Getting my primary workout in today. I'm learning a lot of things, but I still got to work out. So why would I train during a camp like this? For me, the camp is very active. We have, 3 stations a day, and we're doing lots of movement, but those are refining movements or relearning a particular skill, which is super cool. It is activity. It is movement. So I'm not doing my entire training day while I'm out here, but I'm hitting the main parts. So today is Tuesday. On Tuesdays, we tend to focus on shoulder to overhead. So I did all of my jerk work. So push jerks with a heavy barbell, split jerks with a heavy barbell. I did the CNS work before that to get ready for that. And then I did the final piece, which was 2 rounds of jerks, V-ups, because there's no GHDs here, so I just substituted V-ups, handstand walk, push-up, handstand walk, V-ups, push jerks. That's sufficient. I'm looking to continually move the needle just very slowly towards the games and not take huge steps backwards. So if I were to take the full week off from my standard training, I feel like this is week 4 of a 6-week cycle, so it would be like taking a break in the middle of the cycle, and that's not what I'm looking to do. So if that makes sense, I'm getting the core part of my training done. And in fact, if you're a Boulder athlete, I did the core program today, the core track. It's exactly what I did. And it was perfect for a fairly busy day with only an hour to get everything done. And I did it. Now I'm going to go over here to these assault runners, and we have an endurance trek. So I'm about to get, some work done. All right, we just finished the endurance session, and I've got this question. Like, my zone 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 looks very different from a heart rate standpoint than a good friend of mine that's younger than me by 7 years. When I'm dying and I'm all out, I'm in the red. I'm at like 160 beats a minute, and I'm dying. Right? I look over at Adam, and he's at 190 beats a minute. Right? So. He's a very fit dude as well. Mm-hmm. Is there something just kind of different about human beings? Like my zones may be different than someone else's zones, or am I actually just so much more fitter than Adam? That Adam would love to hear this.
Yeah. Well, first, because I'm standing next to my man Jay here, I would say Adam, he is so much more fitter than you. However, the heart rate is just the heart rate. So it's just like a marker or a measure. So some people have higher heart rates, some people have lower heart rates, and then that's immaterial from like a performance standpoint. So the ability to sustain a percentage of max heart rate over the duration of time becomes the most important thing. And so if I get to my max heart rate that's 180, but I can only sustain it for like 2 minutes there, and then you get to your max heart rate at 160, and you can sustain it for like 10 minutes there, or you can sustain like a sub maximum. So just say 97% of 160. So like maybe like a 156, 157, you can sustain that for the period of time. Well, then in this scenario, you're going to do more work than I do, even if I have a higher heart rate. And so it's the percentage of max heart rate that you're at and the ability to sustain it over a period of time.
That's it right there. Thank you, my man.
Absolutely.
Appreciate it.
Yep.
Day 3. And we had a field trip this morning to a local CrossFit gym, and I'm back. Gonna sneak in some back squats and front squats, some heavy lifting, which is part of my Wednesdays typically, and then gonna save the rest of my training for the 2 more stations we have, rings and kettlebells. 4 hours at those stations in total. So let's get heavy and then move on to those things. Yes. So ring muscle-ups, a bit of a strength for me in competition. But I mentioned to you, like I have 2 types of ring muscle-ups.
Yeah.
Tell me about your 2 types of ring muscle-ups.
So I basically use the front uprise method. And then obviously we have kind of what we went over today, the more foundational ring row method. And so those are my 2 go-tos when it comes to workouts.
Right.
Obviously different techniques, but again, different applications depending on what we're trying to achieve with the walk.
Front uprise is, I remember that from gymnastics years ago. It is that straight arm rise.
Yeah, kind of a little bit more of a straight arm arrival for sure. What we're doing there is, for me, what I'm aiming to do with the front uprise is reduce how much dip is occurring at the end of each rep. And then when I use the ring row method, at that point, I'm catching a bit lower and I'm committing to using a kipping dip to gain that efficiency back.
So the uprise version is more virtuous. It's beautiful. it is requires a little more energy through the body.
Yes.
And
very different. Again, very different technique than the other.
Yeah. And as far as, let's say, we're doing 20 ring muscle-ups per time, probably going through the dip a little bit more in order to move more quickly.
Okay.
I don't know, when I'm going through the dip, it just feels like this efficient rhythm, just such a tight rhythm. And then if I'm just doing a handful of reps, but I'm looking to be a little bit, I'm not wanting to go through the dip. I'm trying to conserve my shoulders, use my core much more. I'm popping up much higher.
Yeah.
Is that kind of where you're thinking on that?
So, I mean, again, you look at a workout like, let's say you've got a chipper, like you've got 30 muscle ups, like at the start of it, or somewhere in the workout. Usually what I'm going to say is like, again, I may start the first few reps with that front up rise, but I'm probably, at least myself, I'm personally probably looking at doing those 30 in pretty large sets. So I will probably go pretty quickly to the ring row method with the kipping dip. And like you said, when you do it well, you find a nice rhythm. And there are a lot of athletes who do it well. And, again, just because they're catching low doesn't mean they're not doing an efficient muscle up. Again, they're using efficiency elsewhere to make that movement a little easier. Now, like you said, let's say I had a workout that had 10 rounds and there's 3 muscle ups per round. Then I might try and do the high catching every time, just because one, I'm only having to do 3 reps, right? And so like you said, I don't know that it takes more energy, in my opinion. I think it's a bit more precise and technical in terms of how that technique is performed for it to be effective. And I think under fatigue, a lot of times the ability to stay precise is what really affects it. Timing becomes an issue. So, but again, in those smaller sets, I'll probably aim to stay with that higher catching front upright style. When we start doing a larger set, I'm probably going to go to that lower catching kipping dip style a little sooner for sure.
So a couple tools in our arsenal
for
ring muscle ups.
Always.
There's multiple ways to do multiple things, efficient ways. And even sometimes I think, and we'll end with this, but I know that sometimes in my mind, I'm catching high versus catching low. That's my basics. Okay. I'm just straight CrossFitter.
Yeah.
But might catch high for a few, feel a level of fatigue building there, and just change to something else. So gives me a reprieve from that, and I can eke out those few extra reps.
We think exactly the same. So for me, I'm very much like, I want you to have a tool bag that basically like you said, we've got multiple ways to do everything, because again, with the way workouts are programmed, we're trying to induce extreme fatigue, and so you've got to have those different ways to get to the workout. And so I find a little bit of solace when, again, some people start catching low. And like you said, as soon as I start catching low, I make the switch. And now I'm like, okay, cool. Now I've got another cheat code.
I can live here for a while.
Yeah, exactly. And so where other people are like, oh shit, I'm catching low and I now need to rest more. Me, I go, okay, we're changing techniques.
Yes.
Now we've got another way to deal with this. And so depending on what the WOD calls for, it's just nice to have, again, multiple tools to go, okay, we can get through this a bit better than most people originally thought.
What we won't talk about is how we have to change things for short rings versus medium rings versus long rings.
That's a longer video.
We just talked with that. That's 6 variants right there. But anyway, appreciate you.
For sure. Appreciate you. Thank you, Jason.
So I picked up a few pointers on the kettlebell piece, like how to pick up a kettlebell, how to pick up 2 kettlebells, how to clean 2 kettlebells, which is so silly. And I've been doing this for 11 years. And I didn't know how to do that. I just pick them up and crash them on me. So I don't want to get into that because that's fun. And you should just jump on, find this guy with this face. And it's you'll recognize it anywhere. Anyway, you'll know how to do that. But my game changer was the kettlebell thruster. I've been doing it wrong forever. It's so freaking painful. Like if kettlebell thruster is programmed, I'm dreading it because my shoulders are going to die. Is it a shoulder workout?
No, it's not. It's all very much leg driven. You're going to have to learn how to shelf correctly by utilizing the lats and not holding it all in the delts. And what that's going to do is allow you to transfer the energy from your hips into the reattachment of the rack. Like you were saying, like it feels compressed and it just like springs off. Where like when you're doing it with a barbell and you get that good send off, you're not pressing it. That's what we want out of the bells. It's when we hold them like this and make it really, really tense and press them off our shoulders that you're just taking it to the next level of like suffering that doesn't need to happen because thrusters are hard enough as it is.
Right. The bells are here through the front squat, which is going to replace Zercher squats in my world.
Yes.
100%. No one wants to do Zercher squats.
No.
Kettlebell front squats in the right position. As you come up, contact. That's the word you use?
Rapid reconnection.
Rapid reconnection. And that rapid reconnection launches the bells straight up.
Yeah.
And I did like one, and you mentioned Sam Dancer had the same experience. Like, oh, that's it.
Yeah.
That's
game changer.
Let's go. I got to practice this. So for my athletes, we're going to do a lot of these, obviously. Yeah, appreciate you.
Oh, of course, man.
Thank
Look
you.
forward to hearing how it goes for everybody.
That was a teeny little piece, but I'm like, that's, you know, when you just come away with something like that, I'm like, oh my God, kettlebell thrusters, let's go. These are so much more fun than I thought they would be. They're so much more fun. All right, we're kicking off the day with a little group workout, 7-minute AMRAP, 6 cals, 8 front squats, 6 burpees. That is starting out hot right there. Very hot to start out with. We probably won. Yeah. I mean, I wasn't counting, but I'm sure of it. Right.
I mean, that's just how it goes.
Yeah.
We just win.
We don't care. We don't care if we win.
We just kind of win around here.
We probably just did, and that's fine.
Yeah.
Like, it's no big deal. Like, winning is okay.
It's whatever. It's regular is what it is.
Regular, yeah. We're just holding the baseline. We're gonna do it again. We're gonna do a little VO2 max test. The first one didn't collect all the data, so we're just gonna make sure we have great data. Really curious to see how that goes. I'm not excited to do it again, but I'm excited for the data for sure. So I'm here with XFit Lab. Here we go again. Let's do it. So I learned a ton of stuff. Like, I want to walk away for me with the one thing. And for me, it's getting to the pocket position.
Yeah.
I mean, the last thing you said is like, oh, that's such gold for me. And it's the pocket pull. I'm like, okay, I will incorporate that. Probably for me and a lot of my athletes. Tell me about it.
So the pocket pull is very simple. And the position you're talking about, getting into the pocket where the bar is making contact with the hips, we get that beautiful, nice, close pull in the snatch that we want. Pocket pull is quite simply molding yourself to that start position, so we're engaging with the squat, we're passing the knees with integrity, really getting over the bar, and we're sitting loaded on our quads and ankles into our hips, and totally loaded the whole time. Your quads are going to burn, okay? But that's the whole point. This is the position that is most commonly skipped by athletes learning the snatch.
This guy.
But it's also one that it's the most critical.
Yeah, we have to load the hips in that pocket with enough room to explode.
Right, your best snatchers have the strongest legs.
And I bypass that in my snatch. And bypassing it will get me so far, and then I run into very clear limitations, right? So that, for me, huge takeaway. The whole thing is a takeaway, but that is what I get to go back and practice a lot of.
I love it, and I do them myself, and I have my athletes do them all the time, and it's really helpful.
I did 1 rep, and it burned like crazy to
Enjoy,
1 rep.
everybody. You're welcome.
All right, just got done with the jump rope piece of the training today with Dave Newman, RX Smart Gear, and we've done some work together, which is great. I think one of the things I picked up today that was really a fun thing that you were talking about is, sometimes when we're really athletic and we're trying to jump, we use all of our muscles to try to get jumping, and so we have all this athleticism, and it shows up even in our arms when they're supposed to be relaxed. Talk about that a little bit, because it's just something that clicked in my head that while I'm bounding, arms have to just be relaxed.
Yeah,
how important that is.
Yeah, 100%. So that's such a common theme that we see with people and a little bit is that, patting the head, rubbing the tummy, that we need our lower body and our legs to be really strong and explosive to get off the ground, but we really need our arms to be noodly and relaxed, right? So that we have just, like no tension running through our fingers, forearms, and shoulders while we're turning the rope around the body. And so it's a trained skill. It can be acquired if you spend time and you focus on it. But a lot of times people feel like when their lower body is explosive, the upper body has to be equally as explosive, right? And that's why we see real frantic double unders out there, right? Yeah. So that understand that you hit it right on the head. Tight on the bottom, relax on the top, let it flow.
If you see a picture of me doing double unders, a still picture, my arms are really engaged. And my goal this year is to have someone take a photo of me shirtless in a competition. Body is all just like all tight. Arms are relaxed. Arms are just relaxed, not tension.
Yeah.
They're just relaxed. They're kind of nice.
I think the problem is you're so ripped and buff.
That's what it is, yeah.
That you're gonna just see the veins and everything anyway.
Yeah, I
Sorry.
mean, that's okay. I'm looking for loose shoulders. The other thing, I was just thinking, like, one way to prime that is when we're kind of warming up our double unders, do some bounding jumps. I mean, feet together, jumps, but think of shaking water off our hands.
Shake water off the hands, exactly. That's kind of a Bruce Lee thought, right? Be the water, right? Just flow, exactly, relax.
Shake it off. Get that brain to separate those two things, and double unders come much easier, a lot less energy spent in a competitive environment. And then also learn all the other things, because I'm going to go back to the gym and be practicing all this stuff.
You learned so many things today,
so
right?
many things.
Which was awesome because we already know all of the muscles in here are intact and amazing. It's working the muscle up there, right? That
cognitive load.
Cognitive load, yeah. Mind-body connection, right? Coordinating all the movements, showing that athleticism and agility was awesome.
And doing all that while saying our ABCs was the ultimate test today, and I didn't do that. They did it. I didn't do it.
That was awesome.
Heading into the last morning at Power Monkey. Man, I'm excited to go home, but it's like summer camp. I sort of feel sad to leave. Not that I have any experience with summer camp, because I actually don't think I ever went to a summer camp, but the week has absolutely flown by. And we finished today with a bit of a competition this morning. It'd be great. And I just can't believe how many friendships I've developed out here. That's been one of the best parts, is just learning things from absolute masters at their discipline, and then the relationships. Really, really cool. We finish off the weekend with a bit of a competition. Our team is crushing it. Next, gotta run with some runners, right?
He was the best rower.
Best rower.
Best rower. No.
The best.
Consistent.
No, right here.
Very consistent rower. All right, next, we got this ruck run. We gotta make a lap with the ruck, each one of us, and then we'll all go down and do 150 burpees. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Get your movement on that one, guys. Yeah. Nice job.
Oh, yeah.
It's a messy one. Messy, but worth it. Good job, Vince. Marcus. Today's my burpees. Yeah, I'm carrying the team. I'm not first on anything, but
Six-time games masters.
that's the plan. That's the plan. Last couple of hours at camp, going down to lunch, and then we're gonna have an award ceremony where I think we're gonna take first place. I'm not sure, but it doesn't matter. It's all for fun, and it really was fun. The things I'm walking away from with this camp are this. I'm really good at this sport of CrossFit. I'm really good at this stuff. Some might say best in the world, or at least I have been a number of years in a row. And what I find when I connect with subject matter experts or Olympians, absolute, giants in their specialty, there's this huge gap between where I'm at and where an absolute specialist is at. And I have so much room to grow in every aspect, from the jerk to the clean to the snatch to rowing, using a jump rope, handstands. There's efficiencies that can make me an even better athlete. And for those that aren't like elite athletes coming to something like this, they get to learn, something that takes them a step further towards excellence. And I guess I was just blown away at how big of a gap there is between someone who's really good and someone who's an absolute expert at this. I also really enjoy every day walking down to lunch and dinner and getting to see donkeys and goats. So this is a really special place. This isn't an advertisement for them, but I recommend it. I'm gonna be planning on coming back because as an athlete and as a coach, there is a ton for me to take away from here. I created relationships with professionals that I think will help Boulder athletes in multiple areas. And that's important to me, to have these relationships, to be able to provide expert instruction to the athletes that are part of Boulder Athlete and also receive expert instruction myself. So it's a win-win-win down here. Yeah, just an amazing experience. I gotta eat some lunch now. All right, third place right here, guys. Third place. Nice job, guys. Well, I'm home from camp and I really can't wait to go back. Hopefully I get to go back in the fall or maybe next spring. But for now, it's Saturday. It's time for me to do a training session here in the garage and get back to life, get back to the regular routine, which I very much love. If you've enjoyed this video, give it a like, subscribe to the channel for more content specifically for Masters athletes. As always, your best days are ahead of you. Fortune favors the bold. See you next time.